Search for God, the Supreme Lord of Chapter 1, The Stranger by the River. The river sang softly under the fading light. It was neither a song of joy or sorrow, but something in between. A melody that made the heart remember things it had never lived. Arin stood at its edge, boots caked with the dust of many miles. He had been walking for days with no clear destination, chasing the whisper of a voice he could not explain. It came in his dreams, a deep, resonant tone that called only one name: "Find me." And so he searched. The sun slipped lower, painting the waters gold. That's when he saw her, kneeling by the stones, filling a clay jug. Her hair caught the dying light like a spill of midnight silk, and her eyes did not belong to this world. They carried the quiet strength of someone who had walked through fire and found herself still breathing. Arin hesitated. Something about her presence made the air feel heavier, as if the earth itself paused to listen. "You're far from the villages," he said at last, his voice breaking the stillness. She looked up, not startled, not afraid, only watchful. "The same could be said for you," she replied. Her voice was soft, but it held the weight of unspoken knowing. "I'm looking for someone," Arin admitted. "Someone. Greater than kings, greater than the stars. The Supreme Lord." Her gaze sharpened, a flicker of something, recognition, amusement, passing through her eyes. "People have crossed oceans, climbed mountains, and burned cities for that search," she said, rising slowly. "Most return with nothing but ashes in their hands." "And you?" Arin asked. She stepped closer, close enough for him to see a faint mark at the base of her throat, a symbol he had seen only in his dreams. "I'm not searching," she said quietly. "I already know where he is." The river's song grew louder in the silence between them. Chapter 2, The Whisper of the Hidden Path. The morning sun had barely broken the horizon when Arin awoke to the sound of footsteps outside his small hut. They were not the slow, weary steps of villagers, but light, deliberate, almost like a dancer's. He stepped outside, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. There she was, Selina, the stranger who had arrived in the village 3 nights ago, her hood always drawn low, her voice soft but guarded. She stood at the edge of the forest, gazing into the mist as though listening to something no one else could hear. Arin approached quietly. "You're leaving," he said. Not as a question, but a truth he somehow knew. Selina turned sharply, her green eyes flashing in the morning light. "You shouldn't follow me, Arin." But he could see her hands trembling. "What is it you're hiding? Ever since you came, I felt different. The air around you hums." She hesitated, then sighed. "You see more than most." "Fine, I will tell you." From within her cloak, she pulled out a small crystal shard, glowing faintly as though lit from within. "This," she said, "is a fragment of the celestial compass, an ancient relic said to point the way to the Supreme Lord. My family guarded it for generations, until the Shadow Seekers came." Her voice tightened. "They hunt me now, for if the compass is whole, it can lead one to the source of all creation, and they wish to twist that power." Arin's heart quickened. "The Supreme Lord, I've searched for meaning my whole life, but I never thought I'd meet someone carrying the key." Before she could answer, a low hiss curled through the trees. The mist thickened unnaturally and dark shapes slithered between the trunks. Selina grabbed his arm. "They've found me." A shadow lunged from the fog. Not a man, but a figure made of smoke and bone, eyes burning like coals. Arin, with no weapon but instinct, stepped between Selina and the creature. He seized a fallen branch and swung, the wood burning with a strange light the moment it touched his hands. The shadow recoiled, screeching before dissolving back into mist. Selina stared at him wide-eyed. "That light. Arin, it's the same as the compass. You're not just a villager." He exhaled, stunned. "Then perhaps my place is with you." And in that silent moment, as the sun began to pierce the fog, the first thread of something more than destiny tied them together. They walked toward the unknown, the compass shard glowing faintly in Selina's palm, danger lurking behind them, and perhaps even greater danger ahead. Chapter 3, The Shadow at the River's Edge. The next morning, the mist clung to the hills like a shroud, and the air hummed with the quiet expectancy of something about to happen. Arin walked beside Selina along the winding dirt path, his eyes scanning the landscape while his mind replayed her confession from the night before, how she had been marked by the dream fire, an ancient blessing said to guide chosen souls toward the Supreme Lord. Her presence was steady, yet her gaze often drifted toward the distant horizon, as though she could see something he could not. "You've been holding back," Arin said finally, his voice low but edged with curiosity. Selina's lips curved slightly. "We all have secrets, but some are not meant to be spoken until the path demands it." Before Arin could press her further, the trail bent toward a great river. Its waters moved with a strange, almost unnatural speed, dark and silver all at once, as if reflecting two worlds at once. They stopped. On the opposite bank stood a lone figure in a black hood, motionless except for the faint shift of their weight. The air seemed to grow colder. "Who is that?" Arin whispered. Selina's hand found his wrist, her grip firm. "One of the seekers of the hollow path. They hunt those who search for the Supreme Lord. They believe no one should reach him." The figure raised their head, and though their face was shadowed, Arin felt a strange, piercing familiarity, as if this stranger knew him. Then, without warning, the hooded figure stepped into the river, the waters parting unnaturally around them. "Run," Selina breathed. They turned and fled along the bank, the thudding of their feet matching the pounding of Arin's heart. The hooded figure did not shout, did not rush, yet somehow every time Arin looked over his shoulder they seemed closer. Selina pulled him toward a grove of towering cedars. Beneath their shade she pressed her back to the bark, breathing hard. "That was no ordinary hunter," she whispered. "No," Arin said, his voice tight. "And I think they know me." Her eyes searched his face, unreadable. "Then the journey will not only test our faith, it will test who we truly are to each other." Somewhere beyond the trees, the sound of water roared louder, yet it was not the river. It was something else, something calling. Chapter 4. The Bridge of Whispers. The dawn after their escape painted the horizon in molten gold. Arin and Selina walked along the edge of the Alaris forest, where the trees grew so tall they seemed to pierce the heavens. The path before them was thin, winding, and choked with mist. They had barely spoken since the previous night, when they'd fought off the shadow creature that had tried to drag Selina into the river. Arin's hand still remembered the warmth of hers, the way she had clung to him, not with fear alone, but with trust. At midday they reached it, the Bridge of Whispers. It stretched across a chasm so deep that the bottom was swallowed by shadow. The planks were weathered, some missing entirely, swaying gently in the wind. But what unsettled Arin most was the sound, voices. Countless voices murmuring beneath the wind. "Do you hear them?" Selina whispered, her hand brushing his arm. "Yes." He glanced at her, then toward the abyss. "They sound like memories." The bridge was said to test the hearts of those who crossed. Some heard the laughter of lost loved ones, others heard their deepest regrets, and a few never made it across. Selina stepped forward first, her face pale but resolute. The moment her foot touched the wood, the whispers grew louder. Arin followed, his gaze fixed on her back. "What do they say to you?" he asked softly. "That I will lose everything again," she murmured, not looking at him. The words struck him like a blade. "You won't," he said, firmer than he meant to. "Not while I'm here." A sudden gust whipped through the chasm, making the bridge sway violently. The wood beneath Arin's feet cracked. He grabbed the rope railing and pulled Selina closer, shielding her as planks fell away into the void. From the mist below, the shadow creature's form began to rise again, more twisted than before. Its eyes glowed red, fixed on Selina. Arin drew his blade, his pulse pounding. "Go, run to the other side!" But Selina did not run. She stood beside him, her hand reaching into her satchel to pull out a shard of crystal that glowed with soft white light. "This is my secret," she said, her voice trembling but strong. "It's the only thing that can destroy it. But it will cost me," Arin's heart stilled. "What do you mean, cost you?" She gave a small, sad smile. "You'll understand when the time comes." Before he could answer, the shadow lunged and the battle on the Bridge of Whispers began. Chapter 5. The river that remembers the jungle had been a green maze for days. Arin and Selina followed the winding game trails, the air thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth and unseen flowers. The moon had waxed full, then waned again, marking nearly a month since their departure from Eldrin's temple. That night they came upon it, the river Ashari, wide, black as obsidian under the starlight and eerily still. "This is it," Selina whispered, her eyes reflecting the pale glow of the moon. "The river that remembers every soul who has touched its waters." Arin felt the pull immediately, not from the current, for there was none, but from something deeper. It was as though the river itself was aware of them, watching, judging, Selina knelt, fingers brushing the surface. Ripples spread in perfect rings. The guardians say the Ashari will show us visions, but only if it chooses. Sometimes it offers wisdom, sometimes it shows nightmares. Arin crouched beside her, and we have no choice but to look? She gave him a faint, sad smile. The search for the Supreme Lord was never meant to be safe. They both reached into the water at the same moment. It was as if the world tore open. Arin saw himself, older, battle-worn, standing on a cliff beside a woman whose face he could not see, his sword dripping with blood. Behind them, an army of shadows stretched to the horizon. He felt love and loss in the same heartbeat. Selina's breath caught as her own vision took her. She stood in a vast white void before a being of infinite light, its voice both male and female, whispering truths she could barely comprehend. But behind the light, a shadow stirred. They gasped and pulled back from the water at the same time, drenched in cold sweat though their hands were dry. "What did you see?" Arin asked, his voice hoarse. Selina shook her head, still shaken. "Not yet, some truths, and we share later." A rustle came from the far bank. Figures emerged from the darkness, cloaked in black, their faces hidden behind bone masks. In their hands were curved blades that gleamed faintly in the moonlight. Arin's hand went to his sword. Selina's eyes hardened, her earlier gentleness replaced by the steel of a warrior. "The river remembers," one of the masked figures said, their voice cold. "And it has remembered you." Then, without warning, they charged. Chapter 6, Flames of Trust. The night erupted into chaos. Arin swung his sword with precision, deflecting the first masked attacker as Selina's shard of crystal flared with radiant light. Each strike from her sent the shadows screaming back into the darkness. Together they moved as one, his strength and her power combining seamlessly, though neither had trained with the other before. "You're not what I expected," Arin shouted over the clash of steel and the howling river. Selina's eyes sparkled, a flash of amusement in the terror. "I'm full of surprises." A third figure lunged at her from the side. Arin spun, catching the attacker mid-leap, sending him crashing into the riverbank. Water splashed, and in that moment Selina's hand brushed his. Their eyes met, fleeting, electric, and raw. "Stay close," she said, her voice softer now, almost a whisper meant only for him. Arin nodded, feeling a strange warmth spread through his chest despite the cold night air. "I won't leave your side." The attackers regrouped, circling them like wolves, but Arin realized something crucial. They were not just fighting shadows. They were fighting fear itself, the doubts that had haunted Selina and him since the beginning of their journey. With a sudden, almost instinctual motion, Selina raised the shard higher. Light shot upward, piercing the night sky like a beacon. The masked figures screamed and staggered back, retreating into the shadows. Breathless, Arin lowered his sword. "That was incredible," he said, heart still hammering. Selina gave a small, tired smile. "You helped. Your courage, it matters." For a moment, the danger faded. All that remained was the river, the stars above, and the quiet pulse of something unspoken between them. Arin stepped closer. "Selina, She turned to him, green eyes wide. "Don't say it yet, not until we know what we're walking toward." He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Then I'll wait, but I'm not leaving." The river whispered beneath them, and in its song both felt the weight of destiny. The path to the Supreme Lord was only beginning, and together they would face what lay ahead. Chapter 7. The Temple of Echoes. The morning mist clung to the valley as Arin and Selina approached the Temple of Echoes. It rose from the earth like a shard of crystal, its walls translucent, shimmering with colors that seemed alive. Every step closer made their hearts pound, not with fear but with the weight of destiny. "This is it," Selina said softly, "the first trial. Only those who confront their own truths may enter." Arin glanced at her. "Our truths, or yours?" She shook her head. "Both. The temple reveals the soul, not just the path." They stepped through the arched doorway together. The moment they crossed the threshold, the air changed. Sounds twisted into voices, light fractured into shards that danced across the walls, and reflections of themselves appeared, not as they were, but as they feared to be. Arin saw himself older, alone, walking through ruins with Selina nowhere to be found. Every choice he had made or failed to make was written on those mirrored walls. Selina faced her own illusions, a throne of fire that burned her loved ones, a life of power but without love, a world where her gift to the Supreme Lord was misused, causing chaos instead of guidance. They clutched each other's hands instinctively, the warmth grounding them against the temple's illusions. "You must speak your truth," a voice echoed not from outside but inside their minds. "Only then may the path forward be revealed." Arin swallowed hard. I fear losing you." Selina's eyes softened. "And I fear failing the path, failing us. But I will not turn away." A pulse of golden light surged from the temple and the mirrors shattered, sending shards of reflection spinning into the air. When the brilliance faded, they stood in a vast chamber, empty but for a single altar. On it lay a crystal orb glowing faintly. "The next step," Selina whispered. "We must place our faith inside the orb to see where the Supreme Lord awaits." As they reached toward it, a shadow loomed behind them. The remnants of the attackers from the river Ashari drawn to the temple's power. Arin squeezed Selina's hand. "Together?" "Always," she replied, her voice steady. And side by side, they prepared to face the battle that would test not only their strength, but the depth of their trust, and the first spark of love that neither could ignore. Chapter 8. The Trial of Shadows. The crystal orb pulsed in the center of the chamber, casting flickering light across the temple walls. Arin and Selina stood together, their fingers brushing against its smooth surface. Before they could fully grasp its power, the shadows from the river Ashari appeared. They flowed like smoke, forming into twisted figures, each one a reflection of the fears and doubts Arin and Selina had faced on the bridge, the river, and the forest. "You cannot escape the shadows," hissed the tallest figure, voice like grinding stone. "Not until you confront what lies within." Arin stepped forward, sword in hand, while Selina held her crystal shard high, its light piercing the gloom. "You're not real," he said, almost to himself, but the words carried power. "You're only the fear inside me." Selina mirrored him, raising her shard. "And I will not let doubt rule me." The shadows lunged. Arin swung his sword, but each strike passed through smoke, dissipating before harm. Selina's shard radiated light, pushing some shadows back, but more came, pressing closer, suffocating. Then something shifted. Their hands met over the orb, and a golden light erupted, surrounding them. The shadows screeched and recoiled as if burned by unseen fire. "You see?" Selina whispered, voice trembling with awe. "Together we are stronger than our fears." Arin looked at her, and in that moment the tension between them cracked. His free hand brushed her cheek, and her lips parted slightly, almost instinctively. The world narrowed to just them, just this spark of connection, but there was no time. The orb's light intensified, revealing a hidden passage behind the altar, a staircase carved into the stone, spiraling downward into the unknown. Selina's grip on his hand tightened. "This is the next step. Beyond this, we go deeper into the path of the Supreme Lord." Arin nodded, determination settling over him like armor. "And whatever comes, we face it together." As they descended the stairs, the shadows hissed one last warning before dissolving entirely. The path of faith is also the path of love, but only if your hearts remain unbroken. Below, the air grew warmer, tinged with the scent of incense and earth. The journey was far from over, but for the first time they felt it. Hope, trust, and the undeniable pull of something far greater than themselves. Chapter 9. The Guardian of the Hidden Flame. The spiral staircase ended in a vast cavern lit by a single flame hovering mid-air. Its light was neither warm nor cold, but seemed to illuminate the very essence of the soul. Shadows danced along the walls, but unlike the ones before, these did not attack. They watched. At the center of the chamber stood a figure, tall and cloaked in shimmering robes, eyes glowing faintly like molten gold. The air vibrated with power. "I am the guardian of the hidden flame." The figure's voice echoed deep and resonant. "Those who seek the Supreme Lord must prove their hearts are pure. Not through strength, but through faith and unity." Selina stepped forward, the crystal shard pulsing in her hand. "We face shadows, fears, and trials here together." Arin joined her, gripping her hand. "We've trusted each other, even when every step threatened to break us." The Guardian raised a hand. Suddenly, visions swirled around them. Arin saw himself abandoning Selina in a moment of weakness. Selina saw herself leaving Arin to pursue the path alone. Both felt a surge of doubt, jealousy, and fear, their hearts testing their resolve. "Do you still trust one another?" the Guardian asked. Arin's gaze met Selina's. "With everything I am," he said firmly. Selina's lips curved into a small, determined smile. "And I with mine," the Guardian nodded. "Then face the flame. The hovering fire expanded, encasing them in light. It burned neither flesh nor bone, but seared the soul, revealing every hidden truth, every unspoken desire, and every doubt they had carried. They trembled as memories, regrets, and unacknowledged feelings rose before them. Arin felt fear and longing mix into a painful ache. He reached instinctively for Selina's hand. She squeezed his fingers, anchoring them both. The flame flickered, then calmed. From its center emerged a path of floating stones leading deeper into the temple. "You have passed the first true test," the guardian said. "Your hearts are bound not just by desire but by purpose. The Supreme Lord awaits beyond, but know this. The path will demand more than courage. It will demand sacrifice." Selina's eyes met Arin's, the faintest blush coloring her cheeks. "Then we face it together," she whispered. Arin smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Together. With hearts intertwined, hands clasped, and the weight of destiny pressing upon them, they stepped onto the floating path, the hidden flame's light guiding each cautious step deeper into the unknown. Chapter 10. The Abyss of Reflection. The floating stones led them to a cavern suspended above a chasm so deep they could not see the bottom. A low hum echoed from the darkness, vibrating through their bones. The air was thick, almost liquid, as if the abyss itself was alive, watching, testing them. "This is the abyss of reflection," Selina whispered, her voice barely audible. "Many seekers never return. The abyss shows you not what is, but what you fear you are." Arin's hand tightened around hers. "Then we face it together." They stepped onto the first stone. A ripple of light ran through the abyss, and suddenly, each stone beneath their feet became a mirror reflecting their innermost thoughts. Arin saw visions of failure, times he had doubted himself, abandoned his own path, and worst of all, leaving Selina behind. Selina's vision was even darker. She saw herself succumbing to power, using the compass shard for selfish gain, losing Arin forever. Her heart throbbed with fear and longing, and tears threatened to fall. The stones trembled beneath them, reacting to their doubts. One misstep could send them plummeting into the endless dark below. Arin squeezed her hand. "Don't fight it alone. Let me share your burden." Selina nodded, closing her eyes, leaning on him. "And I will carry yours." Together they moved forward, step by trembling step. The mirrors reflected not just their fears, but also their love, trust, and courage. Each time one of them faltered, the other's presence pulled them back, grounding them in reality. Halfway across, a shadow emerged from the depths, a massive serpentine figure with eyes like molten silver. It hissed their deepest insecurities, amplifying every doubt, twisting their visions into nightmares. Arin raised his sword, its blade glowing faintly. Selina lifted her crystal shard, channeling light into the darkness. Side by side, they pressed forward, their unity creating a shield against the serpent's illusions. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached the last stone. The abyss fell silent. The mirrored images dissolved, replaced by a single vision, a bright, pulsing light far ahead, and the faint outline of the Supreme Lord waiting for them. Selina exhaled, trembling but smiling. "We made it, together." Arin pulled her close. "Together," he repeated, and this time there was no fear in his voice. Only certainty, and a spark of something deeper, something unspoken but undeniable between them. They stepped off the last stone, ready to follow the path the light revealed, their hearts stronger, their bond unbreakable, and the Supreme Lord now no longer just a distant call, but an inevitable destination. Chapter 11, The Gate of Eternity. The light ahead grew blinding, cascading over the cavern walls until shadows no longer clung to the corners. Arin and Selina emerged onto a vast plateau suspended between heaven and earth. At its center stood the Gate of Eternity, an archway carved from crystal and gold, glowing with a radiance that seemed alive, breathing with a rhythm that matched their own hearts. Selina paused, her hand clutching the crystal shard. "This is it, the threshold. Beyond this gate lies the Supreme Lord. But nothing comes without a final test." Arin studied the gate, then looked at her. "We've faced shadows, illusions, and our deepest fears. Whatever waits on the other side, we face it together." As their fingers entwined, the gate shimmered. A figure emerged from its center, not entirely human, yet not divine in appearance. Its eyes reflected every color of the universe. "I am the Keeper," the figure said, voice like wind through mountains. "To pass, you must confront not the world, but each other." Selina and Arin exchanged a confused glance. "Each other?" Arin asked. "Yes," the Keeper said. "The Supreme Lord's path tests not only faith but love." Doubt, jealousy, and unspoken desire can unravel even the strongest hearts. You must reveal all you hide or turn back forever. The light of the gate intensified, and suddenly they were surrounded by visions. Memories of unspoken words, fears, and moments when they might have betrayed each other without knowing. Arin saw Selina in the abyss, abandoned by him, and Selina saw Arin choosing his path without her. The air thickened with tension. Words unspoken pressed against their lips, hearts pounding. Arin stepped closer. "Selina, I never doubted you, never questioned us. I may have feared the journey, but I've never feared you." Selina's eyes shimmered with tears. "And I've been afraid of my own power, afraid it would push you away. But I've realized I cannot walk this path without you." The Keeper's form pulsed with light. "Then your hearts are aligned, you may pass." The gate of eternity parted, revealing a realm of infinite light, where the Supreme Lord awaited. Not a distant God, but a presence that embraced both love and truth, reflecting the unity Arin and Selina had forged. As they stepped forward together, the Keeper's voice echoed one last time. "The path to divinity is also the path to each other. Trust, love, and courage are your true guides." Hand in hand, hearts intertwined, they entered the realm, ready to meet the Supreme Lord, ready to face whatever sacrifice lay ahead, and ready to embrace a love forged in trials, shadows, and the very light of the cosmos. Chapter 12. The Supreme Revelation. The moment they crossed the threshold, the world seemed to dissolve. Light, color, and sound swirled around them in a tapestry of existence itself. At the center of it all, a presence waited, a being neither wholly male nor female, neither bound by form nor free from it. The Supreme Lord. Arin's breath caught. "It's real." Selina's hand tightened around his. "We made it together." The Supreme Lord's voice resonated not in their ears but in their very souls. "You have walked the path of shadows and light, faced your fears, your doubts, your desires, and yet you still stand united." The ground beneath them shimmered, revealing visions of their past trials. The river Ashari, the abyss of reflection, the temple of echoes. Every fear they had faced, every shadow they had conquered had led to this moment. "But unity is not enough," the Supreme Lord continued. "To truly understand divinity, you must surrender yourselves, not to each other, but to the truth within. Only then can you claim the wisdom of the Supreme Lord." Arin looked at Selina, heart pounding. "Together then?" Selina nodded. "Together." A radiant light enveloped them. In that brilliance, they confronted their deepest insecurities. Arin saw himself as weak, as someone incapable of protecting those he loved. Selina saw herself as dangerous, a power she feared would harm even him. But when their hands clasped, the light around them pulsed and changed. Fear melted into courage, doubt transformed into clarity, and in that transformation they realized something profound. Their love was not a distraction from the path, it was the path. The Supreme Lord's form radiated brighter, and a voice, soft yet powerful, spoke. "You have passed the ultimate trial. Love is the bridge between mortal and divine, and courage the flame that lights it. Go forth united and carry this truth into the world." Arin pulled Selina close, their foreheads touching. "We did it, we're together." Selina smiled through tears, the first true smile unclouded by fear. Not just together, stronger, unbreakable. The realm around them shifted, folding back into the world they had left, yet the light within them remained. They had faced shadows, doubts, and the ultimate truths of their hearts, and emerged not just as seekers, but as a force of love and courage ready to shape their own destiny. Hand in hand, hearts aligned, they stepped back into the mortal world, ready to face whatever awaited, knowing that love, trust, and faith were stronger than any darkness they could ever encounter. Chapter 13. Return of Shadows. The world they stepped into felt familiar yet different. The air was heavier, charged with unseen tension. The river Ashari's waters whispered warnings, and the wind through the Alaris forest carried the distant echoes of those who had once sought to stop them. Arin glanced at Selina, whose hands still clutched the crystal shard. "Do you feel it?" he asked. She nodded, eyes scanning the horizon. "The Shadow Seeker, they never stopped hunting. The Supreme Lord's light may have empowered us, but it doesn't remove them entirely." Before they could move, a chilling hiss slithered across the forest edge. Dark figures emerged, cloaked and masked, but this time larger, stronger, their shadows writhing unnaturally. Arin stepped in front of Selina. "Stay behind me." Selina shook her head. "No, We fight together. We've learned to trust each other completely. We face this as one. The first shadow lunged. Arin met it with his blade, but it was Selina's crystal shard that unleashed the true power of the Supreme Lord's light. A surge of golden energy flared, pushing the attackers back. As they fought side by side, each move revealed the depth of their connection. Arin anticipated Selina's motions. She instinctively knew when he would strike. In the midst of battle, their eyes met, and a silent promise passed between them. No matter the danger, they would protect each other. When the last shadow dissolved into the forest, Arin lowered his sword. He breathed heavily, his chest rising and falling in unison with Selina's. "Looks like we're not done yet," he said, trying for a grin. Selina laughed softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "No, but we're stronger than ever. And now, nothing can break us." For the first time since their journey began, they allowed themselves a moment of peace. The shadows may still lurk, but their bond was a light that no darkness could extinguish. Arin reached out, tucking her hand into his. "Selina, I know we've faced death, fear, and countless trials, but I can't imagine facing anything without you." Selina's gaze softened and a blush rose to her cheeks. "Nor I without you, Arin. Together we can face anything, even the unknown." The forest seemed to sigh, and the river Ashari sparkled as if acknowledging their victory. Their journey to the Supreme Lord had changed them, but it had also shown them something far greater: the true power of love, trust, and courage. Hand in hand, hearts beating as one, they began walking back toward the village, knowing that while the mortal world still held dangers, they were ready to meet them together, unbroken, united, and in love. Chapter 14: The Last Eclipse. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the Alaris forest. Arin and Selina moved cautiously, knowing the Shadow Seekers had regrouped for one final assault. The air vibrated with anticipation, thick with the scent of earth and impending conflict. "This is it," Selina whispered, her hand tightening around Arin's. "The last challenge. If we survive, nothing can ever separate us." Arin met her gaze, determination burning in his eyes. "Then we fight together until the very end." From the darkness, the Shadow Seekers emerged, their numbers greater than before, their forms more twisted and menacing. At their center stood the leader, a figure cloaked in black, eyes glowing a cold, unnatural blue. "You've come far," the leader hissed, voice echoing like ice. "But the light you carry will not save you." Selina lifted her crystal shard, which now blazed with the Supreme Lord's power. "It's not just light, it's us." Together, the battle erupted. Arin and Selina moved as one, every strike, every burst of energy perfectly synchronized. Shadows fell before them, but the leader advanced relentlessly, his power growing with every failed attempt to overpower them. Arin gritted his teeth as the leader lunged, forcing him and Selina backward toward a cliff overlooking the river Ashari. Selina's shard flared, illuminating the chasm below, but the leader's shadow surged, trying to swallow them both. "Arin!" Selina shouted, eyes wide. "Trust me." Without hesitation, Arin grabbed her hand and they leapt together into the air. In that moment, their bond became their weapon. The shard's light enveloped them, transforming their fear, doubt, and love into a force of blinding brilliance. The Shadow Leader shrieked, overwhelmed by the power of unity and love before dissolving into nothingness. The remaining Seekers fled, vanishing into the forest. Arin and Selina landed safely on the opposite cliff, hearts racing. They turned to face each other, breaths mingling, eyes locked. "We did it," Arin whispered, voice hoarse with emotion. Selina smiled, tears glistening. "We did. And nothing? Not shadows, not fear, not the path itself that can separate us now." Arin pulled her close, forehead resting against hers. "You've changed me, Selina. Every step of this journey. I've fallen deeper in love with you." Selina's hand cupped his cheek, "And I with you. Through every trial I've realized, love is the greatest power we have." Above them, the first stars of evening glittered like distant flames. The river Ashari shimmered in quiet approval, reflecting their joined hands. The world had tested them, but they had emerged stronger, united, and unbreakable. As they embraced, the shadows faded forever, and a golden light, like the blessing of the Supreme Lord, settled upon them. The journey had ended, but their story was just beginning, bound by love, courage, and the eternal promise of togetherness. Chapter 15: Homecoming. The village lay quiet under the golden glow of dawn. The Alaris forest seemed calmer, as if it too recognized the end of the trials. Birds sang softly and the river Ashari sparkled, reflecting the morning sun. Arin and Selina stepped onto the familiar paths hand in hand. Each step felt lighter than the last, burdened no longer by fear or doubt, but strengthened by the journey they had shared. "We made it home," Selina said, smiling at the cottages and villagers beginning their daily routines. "But everything feels different now." Arin nodded, eyes scanning the familiar streets. "Different, yes, because we've changed. Because we know now that love, courage, and trust, and they can shape destiny itself." The villagers, sensing something extraordinary, gathered around. Whispers spread like wind of two travelers who had faced darkness, survived the shadows, and returned transformed. Selina's hand brushed Arin's as she whispered, "They don't know the half of it." Arin chuckled softly, "And maybe they never should. Some truths are ours alone." Yet in the quiet moments under the soft light of dawn, the two of them embraced, letting their hearts speak where words could not. The trials had forged not just a love, but a bond that could withstand any shadow. The crystal shard pulsed faintly in Selina's hand, a reminder of their journey and the Supreme Lord's blessing. They had survived tests of courage, faith, and heart, and emerged victorious not only as heroes but as partners in a love that had been tempered in the fire of destiny. As the villagers watched in awe, Arin turned to Selina. "No more shadows, no more tests, just us. From now on, we write our own story." Selina leaned into him, heart full. "Our story," she echoed, "and it begins here in the light together." Above them, the sky blazed with the brilliance of the rising sun, a final blessing from the Supreme Lord. Their journey had ended, yet every heartbeat between them promised countless new adventures, bound by love, trust, and the unbreakable courage they had discovered together. Chapter 16. Epilogue. Light beyond shadows. Months had passed since their return, yet the village still whispered tales of Arin and Selina's journey. The river Ashari gleamed as ever. The Alaris forest seemed calmer, and the world itself seemed to carry a lighter rhythm, touched by their courage and love. Arin and Selina had rebuilt their lives, not as mere villagers but as keepers of the wisdom they had gained. Together they taught the importance of courage, trust, and faith, not only in the Supreme Lord but in each other. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson, they walked hand in hand along the riverbank. "You know," Arin said, glancing at her, "I thought our journey would end with the Supreme Lord. But in truth, it never ends. It's in every choice we make. Every moment we trust each other. Every act of love." Selina smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder, "And I wouldn't want it any other way. Every shadow we faced, every trial, it led me to this moment, to you." They stood in silence, watching the river shimmer under the setting sun. The water reflected not only their faces but the light of the Supreme Lord's blessing, a reminder that love, courage, and faith were intertwined. Arin kissed her forehead gently. "No darkness can touch us now, not when we carry the light within us." Selina smiled, tears glistening, "And it's a light we shared together forever." As the first stars appeared, the river whispered their story back to the world. A tale of love forged in trials, of hearts united against shadows, and of a journey toward the divine that proved the greatest power of all was the courage to love and trust, even in the darkest moments. And so Arin and Selina walked on side by side, their hearts forever entwined, living the truth they had discovered, that the path to God, the Supreme Lord, was not only a quest of faith but a journey of love, light, and unbreakable courage.